All right, horror hounds, and welcome to an episode of This Just In. Today we're going to be talking about episode 6 for season 2 of Chucky. This one has pretty much everybody in it except for Tiffany and Glenn. So this episode, we pick up where the last one left off, and we see Andy getting tortured by the Colonel. And we see that lovely, lovely doctor who seems to be in on things now, and we find out a little bit more of the backstory here. So Colonel Chucky is not really a good guy here. He's cutting up Andy's leg and eating the meat. Been torturing Andy for a whole year. And we find out that the doctor is in on it with Chucky, trying to help him kill the kids, and is going to take Colonel Chucky to the school so he can get those kids. And here are the kids there, Devin. They help out getting Andy free. He's a little bit crazy at first because he's been getting tortured for the last year and doesn't trust him. But he convinces the kids to take him to the school. Back at the school, we see lockdown. So the father, played by Devin Sawa, doesn't like the fact that people are sneaking off campus and not returning. So he puts the whole entire school in a lockdown and locks everybody in their rooms. He thinks this is going to help. But in the meantime, the kids show up and they have Andy with them, and he doesn't want to let Andy in there because Andy looks like a crazy homeless guy. But the nun reminds him that, hey, the Bible says we take in everybody, and they end up taking him in. Meanwhile, while this is going on, we do get to see Glenda with Nika and Kyle, and they have some sort of a plan where they're going to be heading to New Jersey to do some sort of body swapping thing. We do get a cool scene with Kyle where she cuts herself so she can talk to Chucky. And then we get Fiona Dourif doing what Fiona Dourif does best, acting. And she turns into Chucky and they have a whole little conversation. Looks like Glenda might even shoot Kyle. But she ends up handing the gun back and they smack Fiona right across the face. And that turns Chucky back into Nika. And then with that whole storyline, the next part that we see is them driving and heading towards New Jersey. So there's not a lot for that storyline, but there is some. For the buff Chucky, he's getting a massage on his feet by the good nun. Yeah, she thinks he is risen. He's God. So she tries showing him to the father, and the father doesn't want to believe it. Says she's crazy. She needs to go to her room because lockdown's for everybody. Everybody. So the father here is kind of a dick. He's locking up every single person. Only he's allowed to do what he wants. Control freak. I guess that's kind of what church is all about, right? I don't know. Don't really go. But they're really making him seem like one of those people that are all about whatever he thinks the Bible's going to say, whatever he thinks God's saying, and he's in charge, nobody else is. So in this episode, we do get a couple of ins and some outs and some mixed feelings. For me, the deaths are mixed. The one thing I'm out on is a little bit of a backstory we get. And the thing I'm in on would be the acting and the kind of where we're incorporating the story to bring everybody together. But I'm still kind of mixed on, like, what is this story? What the fuck is going on in season 2? Like, there's little things that happen and then they kind of get, like, resolved an episode later. But there's no overall arcing story besides, hey, they're all in this church where Charles Lee Ray went when he was younger. Like this church school. That's kind of all it is. It's more like a story of a setting and not an actual overlying arc that goes from episode to episode. Maybe in the next 2 episodes something will draw together, but I just don't know what the hell's going on right now. So the deaths, I said I was mixed on. 2 of them are shit to me, and one of them was good. So the first one is Buff Chucky ends up eating what looks like a protein bar. But Colonel Chucky put, I forget what he said in it. I don't think it was anthrax, but it was some substance that gets him to choke on it and die. And he tells him how brains are always better than brawn. Oh, and Colonel Chucky in this whole episode has a Marlon Brando accent. He's copying a character from the movie Apocalypse Now, and he does it to a T. I mean, they put a lot of references in this one for that. I wasn't a fan of it as much. I didn't like bald Chucky's accent and the way he talked. I didn't think it fit him very well. And he seemed like he was going to be diabolical at first, and then he wasn't. And then the second kill is him, and he just gets stabbed in the back of the head with some scissors. And then we watch some Vietnam flashbacks while he yells the horror, which is literally stolen right from Apocalypse Now. And this one, it doesn't even feel like it's an homage. Just, I don't know what the point of it was. I didn't like the death. I didn't like the character. And up to this point, I thought the death sucked. But, surprise! Nadine, the good girl. She bites the dust in this one, and she falls. Lands perfectly in an angel's arms. It's a very nice death. It's one of those ones that kicks you right down in the guts. So you're like, man, I like this character. And they just got rid of her. Why couldn't they get rid of some of the other people instead? But we do get a whole scene where the father finally gets to see that Chucky's real. They do find out that the backstory for this doctor is she's the psychologist for Charles Lee Ray when he was 7 years old. And she said he had a slimmer of good in him, and she stamped it out of him. So she's taking claim for the reason why he is the way he is. Even though in the first season he killed his mom for no reason. So I think this is what I would say is meant for that. That's how I feel. Like, Chucky was just a killer, and now you're telling me some doctor made him into the madman he was? I hope by the time this season's over with, Chucky fucking kills that lady and lets her know, no, I've always been evil. You didn't have anything to fucking do with it. Because that was like a big FU to me as a fan, and I think to many other fans for this season and the whole series. We never want to, in all instances, with Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason, doesn't matter who the killer is, we don't want to know what made them a killer. We're just happy with the fact that they are. And maybe some people are just a little fucked up in the head, and that's okay too. But nope, we give the master plan to this lady. I hope he kills her. I do. Next 2 episodes, cut her head off. My broad feelings on that whole situation. That pissed me off in the whole episode. But they all see that she's doing this. The father sees that the Chucky doll is actually real. And when Chucky gets dropped, good Chucky, he yells, "She's trying to kill me!" And he runs away up the stairs. Made me laugh out loud. So, that humor hit for me. I liked it. But that's when he runs upstairs and Nadine tells him that it's okay. She's her godmother, and he says, "My fairy godmother?" And she says, "Yeah." And then he holds out his arms like he's going to give her a hug. But also he's saying, "You know what fairies do very well?" And as she's coming up to him, he throws her out the window. Says, "Fly." And then when everybody comes upstairs and saw him actually do it, he looks at Jake and goes, "Oh my God, Jake, what did I do?" And this episode ends. So there was lots of hints in this episode where the good Chucky was starting to turn evil, like he killed a fly really easily, no remorse. And he handed Lexi some pills, knowing that she has a pill addiction. But how would good Chucky know that she has a pill addiction? So it seems like he's kind of there and still playing. Maybe he's playing with the kids. But we're going to have to see where the next episode goes. In this one, we don't know where Tiffany and Glenn are at this point. We just know that they were headed to Glenda, but Glenda left with Kyle and Nika to go to New Jersey, which is where the school is located, so that they can somehow get Chucky's body out of Nika, and that is Chucky Prime, as they call him. So that's the original Chucky. We get Andy being a badass, kills a Chucky doll. He's still a little unbelievable in this one because his legs getting all fucked up in the beginning, and then he just run around like a normal person for the rest of the episode. Like, I feel like your leg would be in pain since I was seeing it down to the fucking bone. Just saying. So overall, this episode had some decent spots in it, but this is one of my least favorite episodes so far of the season. It was missing kind of the campiness, fun in it, and the humor that has been coming through that I've actually enjoyed throughout this season. And they had a couple of spots, but the two Chucky dolls that both die, that there's no payoff for them. It's not anything special. I mean, we've watched Chucky get destroyed for years, and in this one, he gets a scissors to the back of the head and falls down, talking gibberishly. And then the other one just eats a protein bar that magically had something in it because that Chucky somehow put something in his protein bar behind the scenes. Who knows? Kyle is just missing an ear. We figured that out. Somehow it's attached to her glasses, but glasses hang off ears, so not sure how that works, but okay. Andy, when he drove that truck off a cliff, did not jump out of it. He actually took that giant fall, and the Chucky dolls pulled him away right before the vehicle exploded. Okay. A lot of disbelief in this episode, which is fine in the Chucky series. It really is. But it's like, when the episode's not as good, you kind of notice that shit. It kind of bugs you a little bit. So, they're little nitpicks, but it's still things that stick out in this episode. Like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, and now I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that. And you just see more when you're not enjoying it as much. And like I said, again, the storyline, I don't know where it's going, which can be a good thing. But right now, it just feels like there's no actual storyline from episode to episode that kind of continually is pulling the whole season along. I hope the last two episodes end in a bang. Really, really hoping for it. So, those are my thoughts on this episode. If I can have you give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you can see when my next episode comes out on Chucky or any of the other movies I've reviewed or going to review here in the near future. Don't forget to leave some comments down below. Maybe I missed something in this episode. Maybe you can tell me something about it. Until the next one, guys, rest in peace.